Hello, Facebook. Welcome to episode 4 of our summer wellness series. Today we are going to be covering self-care strategies for teachers. So far in our series, we've covered yoga for teachers, mindfulness for teachers, and some fitness strategies you can use throughout your day, whether you're at school or at home. So before we dive into our self-care strategies, I want to invite you to tag any of your friends in the comments below if you think they might also be interested in learning about self-care strategies, and stay tuned until the end of the video where I'll be sharing a 20% off coupon code. So what is self-care and why does it matter? We hear this term all the time, and it's one of the vague, healthy things we should be doing, but it's kind of hard to understand what and when and how we should do it. So I think it's really important to think about your day and consider how much time you give to other people. You spend a lot of your day as a teacher, or maybe as a mom or a wife or a partner. You spend a lot of time giving back to other people and not a lot of time giving back to yourself, likely. So today we want to arm you with some strategies to help you find a little more balance in your life, clarity, and boost your energy. So we have broken this video down into 3 categories, kind of to help you understand the different ways you can practice self-care, and then also just make it a little easier to understand. So our first category is physical self-care. So this has a lot to do with the body, and not so much as like your mental or emotional state, but really focusing on your self-care through your body. So the first thing you can do with physical self-care is to move daily. Hmm? And we are back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We had a little bit of mic stuff happening over here with technology and stuff. So we're going to start from the top just so we make sure you didn't miss anything and we cover all of our sections. So our first category that we're going over is physical self-care strategies. And the first thing that I think is the easiest to implement and probably the most fun and most important maybe is moving daily. So this doesn't mean going to the gym for an hour or two every day. It doesn't mean adding more stress to your day. It means moving more in an easy and seamless way. So that could be parking at the back of a parking lot and taking a few extra steps toward wherever you're going. Or it could just be getting up more, walking to the further restroom at school, wherever you are. There's a lot of different ways that you can get up and just add a little bit more movement throughout the day without really thinking about it. So move daily is a great self-care strategy to just keep in the back of your mind instead of trying to exert yourself and get to the gym and really do so much throughout the day when you just need a little self-care and space. The second thing is nutritional awareness. So again, it's like going to the gym. Like, it's not creating a meal plan or doing some crazy meal prep that adds hours to your schedule. Instead, this can free you up to have more time and more awareness in your life. So consider that when you come home from a stressful day and you have a craving for chocolate, which I do a lot, so that's my example, would be to just sit down and think about, why do I want this thing that probably isn't as good as, like a vegetable or just my dinner, whatever's happening in your day, and just ask why. Like, why do I want this? And then if the answer is because I'm stressed and I'm tired and I'm frustrated and I just want something sweet, then you can think about that more and say, do I really want this thing now that I know why? Or is it just like something that I'm wanting? From there, you can understand if you want to eat it or not, and then make that choice consciously. And then you have more power to what you're doing. So nutritional awareness is huge. It takes practice. It's not one of those things where you're gonna get it right every time. So don't try to. That's just stressful and not worth your time to try to do it perfectly. But just bring some more attention to your nutritional choices, and it can be a form of self-care. The third point under physical self-care would be sleep. So I could pull up a ton of different studies and things that scientists and people have done about sleep, but I'll just tell you this: get more sleep. Sleep is a form of self-care. It helps your body restart, it helps your brain shut down, it helps everything in your body start to repair while you're sleeping, and you can wake up feeling better. If sleep is the one thing that you're cutting in your life to make time for working out or eating healthy, then those things aren't as important, in my opinion, to actually sleeping. So bring more awareness to your sleep and just see where you might be able to tweak a little bit throughout your day and maybe sleep an extra 10 minutes or go to bed an extra 10 minutes early every night. And overall, with physical self-care, it really just means listen to your body. And I know that sounds kind of vague, and how do I do that? What does that mean? It really just means in the moment, what are you feeling and what do you want? So why do you have the craving, or why do you feel like you need to spend an hour at the gym in order to be healthy? What would it look like if you just parked at the back of the parking lot instead? It's just really an awareness in the here and now, and then listening to what your body might want to feel better instead of the things that you should be doing. So that's our physical self-care category. Our next category is mental self-care. So this isn't necessarily like exerting yourself to take care of yourself, but it's really looking inward and thinking about how you feel mentally. So one way to start with this one is acknowledging your positive and negative feelings. This one's a little tricky because as human beings, and when we're working with other people all the time, we want to stay positive, and we want to just constantly be positive and cheer people up and cheer them on and all of the stuff that takes a lot of energy. And we also have negative feelings. It's part of it. If you have positive, you also have negative. So when you get home every night, I invite you to look at your positive and negative feelings and just get curious about them. Don't let your negative feelings get covered up by all the positivity because you feel like you shouldn't have those. Of course, in a healthy way. You don't want to exert your negative feelings everywhere and make everyone else feel negative. But it's a really fun exercise to just sit down and think about all of the positive thoughts you had in one day, and then also the negative ones and why they may have come up and what you can do to work with those. The second one in mental self-care, which is a little more tangible, a little bit more fun, would be finding your creative outlets. So creative outlets are huge for self-care and feeling better, feeling more creative and energized. This could be anything from painting to drawing to knitting, dancing, gardening, whatever is creative to you and whatever you find that energizes you. So don't make it like a to-do, but find your creative outlets and then just like make 10 minutes a day for them, or like 10 minutes a week. You don't have to do these things every day in order to feel better and put yourself first. So I think creative outlets are a really fun way to add more self-care into your day with things that you want to try or just experiment with. The last thing under mental self-care would be healthy communication. So this goes back to the positive and negative feelings and acknowledging those, and also with yourself and with others. So whenever we hear the terms healthy communication and, coming to a conversation in a mature manner, we think of someone and us. And what I mean here is, yes, we should have healthy communication with the people in our lives, but we should also have healthy communication with ourselves. So whenever you come home and you didn't make it to the gym and you ate the cake instead of dinner and you parked in the front of the parking lot because you just didn't feel like walking far, and you come home and then you don't feel good about that and you're upset about that and you kind of beat yourself up over it for a while, that would not be healthy communication with self. So you can look at the way you're talking to yourself, whether internally or externally, and start to examine how that makes you feel. So not just cultivating a healthy communication with other people, but with yourself. And our third category would be emotional self-care. So we've covered physical, mental, and emotional. The mental and emotional categories kind of overlap, so don't think too much about what should be in which bucket necessarily, but these ones are a little more internally, emotionally driven. So for the first one, a self-care strategy would be to investigate your beliefs. So if you believe that you don't have enough time in the day and you think, I just don't have time, I'm so busy, then that's what you're working with here. That's what you're running through your life with, is constantly feeling like you don't have time. And you probably do, but this story in your head, this over and over dialogue is making you feel just slammed and busy and stressed. So what if you just sat down and thought, man, I constantly don't feel like I have enough time, and I'm constantly saying I don't have enough time, and then you say, why? Why don't I feel like I have enough time? Well, I'm trying to squeeze in 500 things in one day because that equals success, or that makes me think that I got a lot done. But in turn, it's just making you feel really stressed. So think about the thing that's coming up constantly, like the thing that you believe. Maybe it's that I don't have time to eat healthy. I can't eat healthy, healthy is too expensive. Whatever that thought is in your mind, think about it, then ask yourself why, and then start to think of little strategies you can plug in to make that not so true. So if you think that you don't have enough time, maybe you find an extra 5 minutes to just sit in stillness, you just sit right here. And it's gonna be super uncomfortable and you're not gonna like it, but it's going to help you learn that you do have time. You have time for yourself, you have time for the people in your life, and you have time to slow down and not feel so busy. So investigate beliefs. That's a biggie, and it's a practice. That one's kind of hard to just implement right away. Another one would be breath and meditation. So we covered a lot of these strategies in our Yoga for Teachers video and our mindfulness video. So if you want to hop back over into those videos, you can. But really what that means is just coming to a seated position. So no slouching over, no just kind of giving up, but really be here and grounded in the floor and just sit. You can breathe in and out of your nose. You can close your eyes here. You can light a candle and just look at the candle. It's actually quite nice to just kind of watch the flame for a while, and you might sit longer than you'd think. You can turn on some music if you want, whatever you want to do, but just come and focus on your breath, and you don't even really have to call it meditation. If that seems too far off for you, you can just call it sitting and breathing. Another strategy that I think I've brought up in probably every video is journaling. So journaling is a huge self-care strategy to kind of explore all of this stuff from physical to mental to emotional, but especially emotional. So when we're thinking about those positive and negative feelings and those beliefs that we tell ourselves, we really want to come down to pen and paper and just write them down. You can like rip them up or throw them away, or you don't have to keep this stuff. You don't have to like publicize your feelings, but it really helps to write them down with like your brain and your hand connection where you're getting something out of you. So journaling is my top recommended strategy, but the final thing to remember here is rest and relaxation. So not necessarily sleep, but relaxing. So where your mind is at ease, you're not stressed out about the next thing that you should be doing, and you're relaxing. This could come in the form of a massage, which sounds like the best self-care strategy ever, if you get the time and the money and all the stuff going for it. But like relaxing and allowing yourself to just be in a moment without thinking about what's next. So those are our three categories: physical, mental, and emotional. We covered a ton of stuff in all of them. But how do we make them so? How do we like bring them into our daily life and start practicing self-care? Well, as always, take small steps. So small steps are probably the biggest piece of advice I can give to making changes in your life and implementing new stuff. Small steps means if you want to start moving more, then park at the back of the parking lot, or like the middle of the parking lot, not even the back. Maybe that's like a huge parking lot. Park in the middle of the parking lot, and like that's it. Small step, super tiny step. It doesn't have to be like, I'm gonna walk 3 miles today, because that takes time. So take really small steps here. Another thought to keep in your mind, and maybe it's like a sticky note that you put on your mirror or somewhere where you see it every day, but is thinking about like being better than yesterday. And it sounds kind of like an athletic coach telling their athletes like, be better than yesterday. But it's a good rule of thumb to look at. If you did 5 squats today, then like tomorrow maybe do 10. So like tomorrow you look at what you did yesterday and you think, I did 5, so like I think I can do 6. And that's better than yesterday. Like that small tiny step is better than yesterday. And if you do nothing, that's also okay. So remembering that this is a daily practice and it's something you come back to forever. You don't just practice one self-care strategy and then become enlightened and float through life happy and wonderful. That's not how this works, unfortunately. I kind of thought it did for a second, but I've learned better. So how do we decide what is self-care and how do we do it? What is it? I think you should choose based on desire. So what do you want for your self-care? If you want a monthly massage and that's your self-care, book those out for the entire year and like you're done. That's the thing that you want. You know that's how you feel better and how you take care of yourself. Wonderful. If your form of self-care is painting and like you're not a painter and you don't feel like you can paint, then go buy like a little notepad and a little watercolor set and just once a week for 10 minutes implement that. If it's something that really brings joy to you and makes you feel good, that's what your self-care should be. There shouldn't be all of these things and lists online that you have to like check off a ton of strenuous stuff every day to feel like you're taking care of yourself. You get to decide what self-care is. So on top of that, I also want you to consider that you can let it be fluid and let it be changing. If you think that maybe massages are your self-care and then you find out this isn't really my budget or I'm not really feeling better, you can like toss that. You can start over and pick something new. You don't have to stick to one self-care strategy or 10 self-care strategies just because you've committed to them. But with it being fluid, I believe you should also give them time. So don't do something for 2 days and say, it's not working, I don't feel better, this one's not it. Give it about 21 to 30 days, give it some time, and that doesn't mean you do something every day for 21 days, but over the course of a month, just try to implement the thing as much as possible and then see how you feel. Come back to your journal and write about, is this strategy working for me? And then also begin again, wherever you are. You can always like restart. If you miss a week of whatever you're trying to do, it's okay. You can come back to it and start over. And one way that I kind of look at if something's working or if something keeps coming up for me is to reflect. So I take my journal and I write in it every day, and then every month or whenever my journal's full, I just flip through it. And I look for like the big glaring things that keep coming up, like I'm not drinking enough water. I'm not drinking enough water. I'm not drinking. Like I keep seeing myself writing that, and I'm like, why am I not drinking enough water? I'm telling myself that I'm not doing it. So then I can start to implement carrying my water bottle around with me, or making sure when I wake up I drink a glass of water. And then I can start to implement that because I notice the thing that I keep bringing up in my journal. That's why I believe journaling is so important, but definitely reflecting, whether it's mentally or physically in your journal, reflect on the stuff that you're doing. So remember, it's a daily practice, shouldn't be a to-do. If you have to like squeeze it into your to-do list and it feels like a task or something stressful, you probably should replace it with something that feels good. Celebrate your wins. Like if you do a thing for a week, celebrate that. Like reward yourself, tell your best friend, like put it out there and let people know like I'm taking care of myself, and you should too. It's totally cool to like take care of yourself. And then of course, like I said, be patient. So something's not gonna work overnight. You don't just like start dry brushing your skin and then all of a sudden you have like immaculate skin. Like it takes time. So give it some time, and then also like celebrate the small wins. I think that's all I've got, finally, after our technical difficulties and stuff, but we've made it to the end. So what questions do you all have? I know that's a lot to take in, and I know there's a lot going on, so I definitely want to allow some space for you to ask questions. We've got a question from Claire that says, a lot of the time I don't have the budget to treat myself, like getting a massage. I totally understand that. Or my nails done. What tips do you have for some free self-care activities? So I'm notorious for like wanting a massage and then not booking it or not going through with it. So my kind of at-home hack is I have like this Tupperware. It's kind of, I think it's about this big, probably like 1.5 feet deep maybe. And it's just like this big square Tupperware container that I have, and I fill it with hot water. I put some Epsom salt in there, and then I like put some essential oil in there, and I just soak my feet. I'm watching TV, like I'm not doing anything, I'm just relaxing because we need to relax, and I soak my feet for like an hour until the water gets cold really, but I put really hot water in there and just soak my feet, and then whenever I'm finished, I feel great. I didn't have to like leave my house and go soak my feet to get a pedicure or pay someone and pencil it in. I kind of create my own at-home foot bath, which I really enjoy, and it's very inexpensive to do. So that's one way that I do it. Another way is there's a lot, I kind of feel like there's a lot of stuff around like doing face mask and at-home like self-care and beauty care. Instead of like putting the mask on and letting it dry and scrubbing it off and getting it all over your sink, which also feels good from time to time, but probably not like every day. I take a little bit of coconut oil and just rub it on my face every night, and then I put a hot rag over my face, and I just lay flat on the floor for like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, like however long I feel like laying there. But the oil and the cool rag, it cleans my face, and it also feels luxurious. Like it feels like you're getting a facial. So that's a really cool free strategy that I use. What else? So not a question, but Samantha says a lot of people have told her to journal and she should probably do it. I say yes, try it out. Like I said earlier in the video, you don't have to like keep journals, and some people don't have to read them, but like you can have your journal and then like rip it up and burn it. Sometimes that feels really good, or like whatever you want to do with them. Like I think a lot of people are hesitant about journaling because they're like, what if someone reads it? Which is a weird kind of fear because you want to get all this stuff out. So yeah, do with it whatever you want, or maybe just have like one piece of paper every day and you write on it and you get rid of it, or you keep it like in a safe. Or I told a friend recently to get a diary that had a lock on it, like a little kid's diary, and get the lock. Who's gonna really like finagle your lock to try to get into it? That's ridiculous. Unless you have kids, maybe kids would be like, ooh, what's this? But if your spouse or partner or roommate is trying to like get into your child diary, that might be interesting to look into, but you can get one that like locks, and then you can feel better about like keeping it with you and journaling. So I think that's all we have for today. I know it's a lot, so maybe rewatch this video a few times and take notes and see what you might want to implement. There's galore self-care stuff out there. Like there are some like crazy things we're gonna be like, what? How do I do that thing? Get curious about all of the different options and also decide based on what feels good for you. So we've made it to the end, which means I have a coupon code for you. If you use this coupon code on any advancement courses, professional development courses, you'll get 20% off. So the code is FBLIVE20. That's FBLIVE20. So go use that code, check out their courses. A lot of this stuff is coming from those, and they go even deeper and have a lot of other resources in there. Thank you all. I'll see you next time on July 30th for Habits of Mind. So that one's going to be really cool of looking at our habits and stuff. We'll see you then. Bye.